And at this time, we want to welcome a very special guest into the studio. We have with us today Mr. Nicholas Lambros. Nicholas is a junior at Providence College, majoring in political science and minoring in history. He's currently in the pre-law program. He's a parishioner at the Church of the Annunciation in Cranston, Rhode Island, where he also lives. He's involved in a number of Greek American and Greek Orthodox activities. He's the president of the Providence College Hellenic Society, a member of the AHEPA, a staff member at the Metropolis of Boston Camp, and is involved with the Young Adult League and Orthodoxy on Tap. Last semester, Nicholas worked as an intern as a congressional campaign political science major, and this year and this semester, as part of his history minor, he's assisting in the listing, documenting, organizing, and interpreting of documents pertaining to the GOYA, the Greek Orthodox Youth of America, as a national, district, and local level, as well as other materials related to Greek American history. That's quite a lot as an introduction, but I think we got it all done. Kalimera, Nicholas. Oh, let me turn up your mic. How are you? Let's hear you.
Good, how are you?
Oh, good, good, good. How was the drive in today?
Not bad, just a little bit of traffic, but it's rush
bit.
hour.
It's rush hour.
Yeah.
At least the sun's out, right?
Yep, nice
Did you
day.
get caught into the snow? Did it happen
We did.
for
We
you?
had about 5.5 inches, but it's mostly melted now. So.
Mostly melted, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay. So I want to ask you, how's your semester going?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. I'm so glad that you took the time to come in today.
Of course.
And what I noticed that I didn't know before, that it says here in your bio that you're the president of the Providence College Hellenic Society.
Yep.
I'm impressed.
Yep. Yeah, we started it last semester. There's quite a few of us, and we meet every other Thursday. So it's good. We're having our first major event of the club ever in 3 weeks. A big movie night, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, of course.
Great.
So open to the whole school.
Great, great, great. That's wonderful. That's incredible. And something I didn't know existed anymore, the Young Adult League.
Yep.
The YAL.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Sure. So, well, it's organized differently in each parish. Sometimes it's regional. I know that in Rhode Island we do Orthodoxy on Tap events. It's also done through the Metropolis of Boston. They hold young adult league events like Orthodoxy on Tap. They recently had a retreat up at the Metropolis of Boston camp for young adults. I think they had 60 or so people go, which was pretty impressive.
No kidding.
But yeah, they have the Orthodoxy on Tap events, sometimes at like the Farm Grill right up the street.
Right, right. Do you go to those?
I've been. They were going to have one just this week, and I think it was canceled due to the snowstorm.
Oh, yeah.
I was planning on going to that. But right after Easter, they'll be back in full swing. So
that's good.
Exciting stuff.
Now it's for young adults. Let's be clear.
Yep.
Someone my age probably wouldn't go to the Orthodoxy on Tap. No.
Yeah, no. I think 18 to 35 is the age range.
Okay.
But then they have the conferences. I just got back from one in Chicago last week.
Really?
Yep. The Metropolis of Chicago YAL conference. It's open to anyone, the whole country.
And what happened at the conference? Did people talk about what's happening in their regions?
Yeah, you kind of meet people from all over the country, so it's interesting because otherwise you wouldn't know who people are and where they're from. So you kind of get a mix.
Have you heard other parts of the country doing Orthodoxy on Tap?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they do them in most places. I'm not 100% sure about the whole organization in each area, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. I didn't even know that the YAL still existed.
Yep.
Look
there's
at that.
a chapter in Cranston. I'm not as involved in that as I am just general like Metropolis events, just because sometimes I'm kind of busy with college and things.
You've got so much going on.
Yeah, I've got a lot
it's
going on.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So tell me, and you joined the AHEPA.
Yep, I did. I joined last year, and it's fun.
How many people in your chapter?
I'm not exactly sure how many we have on the membership rolls, but we get a good turnout. At least 20 people every meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Geez, a lot of good things going on.
Yep.
And your majors again are poli-sci.
Yep, poli-sci, and then I added a history minor this semester.
And
so.
a history minor.
Yep.
Now, this is what we're here to talk about. So you've been working with a collection of materials from the GOYA.
Yes.
And just as a, what should we do it as a disclosure? We should say you're actually doing your internship with Greek Cultural Resources, and you're going to be getting college credit for it, which is great. So tell us about the collection. What is the collection? if you were to describe the collection?
Sure. So it's basically a pretty huge collection of records from not only just the local Goya in New England or Lowell, where a lot of the files are from, but also the district, which was all of New England plus parts of Canada, Eastern Canada, and then also national Goya documents. So magazines, bulletins, newsletters, even event flyers and programs from dinner dances, membership rolls, a little bit of everything. Letters between correspondence between different district chair people, between say the Archbishop's office and then the Goya National Board, and then convention materials and books. So it was interesting, and it's not Goya in the same sense that it is now. It was more like today's YAL, the age group that it was set up for. So it kind of shifted to Goya, then Junior Goya, and then YAL replaced what was then previously Goya.
Right.
So it's interesting to see the whole collection.
And what years are I put 1954?
1954 was the earliest one, at least that I saw it, and then up to 1980. Okay. And then there was one 1988 one, which I think was a reunion of people from earlier. It was like a reunion banquet that they held for all previous members, which was kind of interesting to see.
Right. Yeah, they did it here in Boston.
Yep.
Isn't that great?
Yep.
So this history. This is probably the first time you're looking at anything at this deep.
Yeah, it is. I've never really seen any of this. I wasn't really that aware that the Goya was not only this well organized, but had such a huge, basically, media presence, I guess, if you want to put it that way. They had their own, basically, magazines, newsletters, monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly. It was amazing.
Amazing
letters
stuff.
to the editor.
Yeah.
They had a whole media office, so it's really cool.
Is there anything in the material that caught your eye?
One thing that I noticed in the Goyan, which was the magazine, that was quarterly, or sometimes, depending on whatever they had to alter it, sometimes it was, say, covered 2 quarters of the year, 2 seasons. There were the Orthodoxy around the world sections that were kind of interesting, usually written by people who were involved in the missions program. So, for example, they had, say, like a 3-page article with pictures saying Orthodoxy in Uganda, and it would show all different features, say, members of the Goya from different chapters around the country who happened to be working abroad with these missions, and they would write back and send pictures. So it was really cool to see how Goya was literally all over the world.
That's so interesting. Yeah, there was a movement to unite the Orthodox youth.
Yes, there was globally, and then not only seen this most, I think it was what it was called, and they had different meetings around the world. I think in Lebanon, which is kind of interesting, and then they had the different Orthodox youth groups in the U.S. So not just the Goya. In some of the Goya magazines and newsletters, they talked about Seol. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it.
Right.
Seola.
Seola.
Yeah. It was so basically a federation of all the different Orthodox groups from all the different jurisdictions. So they cooperated and had a huge convention, like 13,000 people in Pittsburgh, which was I was amazed when I saw that. They filled the whole convention center.
That's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
So other Orthodox denominations, would you say?
Jurisdictions.
Jurisdictions.
I'm not sure what the right word is.
Not either, but they had youth groups.
Yep.
And actually, I think there material. You told me there was something from like the 30s that was in this collection too. That was by the Orthodox youth, right?
Yeah. So there were like early organizational stuff. I think pre-Goya was officially a thing at a national level. I think those were from Chicago, and then they mentioned. Basically inter-Orthodox things. So there was like the parishes in Lowell, I know, organized between each other. So different Greek parishes, and then with one Antiochian parish.
What's interesting about those years, because I grew up at the end of that wave, or in the middle to the end of that wave, it was the unity, and that we were able to have a national organization, and it did a lot of good things.
Yep.
What were some of the things that you know of that the Goya had done, for example, at a national level?
Yeah, so one thing that they definitely kicked off was the whole OCF movement at colleges. They talk all throughout the Goya magazines about seeking help with people setting up different chapters. They bought buildings.
Yeah.
They set up, various colleges had their own chapels, which was kind of impressive. And then on chapels, they at Hellenic College Holy Cross, the Goya Memorial Chapel, the chapel there now, they had a huge fundraising drive. Every issue, it would show the progress at the back cover, sending your checks. It was really impressive. A pretty well done fundraising effort.
Yeah, so. And and there was also for the library, there was a book drive, and also
book drives.
funds,
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there were other things that the National Goya had done as well, but just the power of that kind of an
Yeah, it was
organization.
really impressive to see because they would send basically stuff out not only to so they had a national office that would send things out to the districts and the diocese, and then they would send them to the chapters, and everyone would coordinate. So it was very well managed.
Yeah. Now, in the material, did you recognize any names?
I did, and some of the records. So they were for the diocese of Diocese 3, which would in District 1, which would be New England and then part of Canada. I think it was the 1957 membership rolls.
Right?
I saw my yaya's name in there, and a lot of her relatives for the Providence, because my parish in Cranston used to be in Providence before
Yeah.
they moved. So I saw names in there that I recognized of relatives. So that was interesting.
Is she alive? Or?
She is. She is. I called her and told her. She said, "Oh, that's so funny."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, right? Maybe you could interview some of them and see what it's like, you know?
It's interesting to see that a lot of the people who were involved then, their families are still involved in Goya, I guess, today. So
They
it's kind of
are.
cool.
It's lasting things.
Yeah.
Definitely lasting things. So that's really interesting. Do you think that this material is worth anything? Should we save our history?
I'd hope so. I mean, you can not only just for the interest of it. I think it's fascinating to see, basically, for me at least, to see what was being discussed and people were thinking at, say, like 1964. If I was interested in what they were discussing then,
Right.
so it's cool to get a little picture into people's minds and what was being talked about and how people were thinking. And then, I mean, a lot of the challenges that they faced, we also deal with in different ways, so you can learn and then modify their approaches to situations today. So like organizational things and event ideas, maybe even.
Right. Now, you mentioned magazines. We're talking about glossy,
Yep.
what looks
Yeah.
like a People magazine,
Yep.
for example. But they also had church scholars were writing in as well.
They did. They'd have submissions. Parish priests would put in submissions. So if you'd have like letters to the editor, basically, but on theology. So professors at different seminaries in English and Greek, you'd have basically letters about everything or articles about everything, history. They had foreign correspondence, basically. For example,
neat.
like they had someone was on I guess, a study abroad program
Right.
for a few years, it seemed like, and they'd keep updating on what was going on in Greece and then Jerusalem and then
neat.
Egypt. So that was fascinating.
That is so interesting. Yeah. So this collection, we should let people know that this was actually part of a larger collection that was for the Greek American veterans of Lowell, and this particular collection of Goya material, it belonged to, and you probably saw her name, Quina Flump.
Yep.
Tragus. She was a school teacher, very active in the Hellenic community. If you could look up her obituary, unfortunately she passed away some years back. But I wanted to send this to you, and that talks about her collection, and it is very special because this is the only collection of this size outside of DePaul University that we know of.
Wow.
Even the Archbishop Iakovos Library does not have this material. So it's really great that you're going through
Yeah,
it.
it's amazing that it was all kept and preserved, and a lot of them, there's multiple copies of things, so that's just amazing that someone took the time to keep all of this and organize it.
Yeah,
It's just impressive.
Isn't it impressive? And I know you could be picking up some more material
Yep.
today. There's a little bit more, and they're clippings and photographs that look like they were professionally done. And we could try to match it up to the historical
Yeah.
documents, and that's really incredible. Let's talk again about the districting, because you mentioned Diocese 3 and
Yep.
District 1. Now, just so people know, this is how the Goya was so well organized. So it was all of New England.
Yep. So it was the 6 states of New England plus like Eastern Canada. So it was Montreal, Quebec, and then Ottawa,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Right.
So when they would have district events, sometimes I'd see, oh, it's in Montreal. That's odd. And then I realized, well, it would include that area as well. So
Yeah, it's amazing to think of that now. I talked to people. Now, you were president of your Goya.
I was. Yep.
And so I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everybody. Was it a standalone organization, or did you work with other churches?
We at times we'd work with other organizations. It's tough.
Yeah.
A lot of parishes we're just so busy with our own activities, and everyone's kind of involved with their own group of people that it's tough to branch out. But we'd have like Goya dances. We'd usually send some people would go to each Goya dance in different churches.
Nice.
And,
Right.
whenever there was an event, we'd try to have a presence there, and people would have a presence at ours. So that was nice. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's largely standalone. It's not organized as this sort of level of coordinated with like districts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is there a benefit to being organized like that, or?
I think so. It just makes things a lot easier for organizational purposes. I mean, if you want to have a central place to have ideas and discussions, I'm assuming that they'd have a district committee and people
yeah.
planning. You can have regional events rather than everyone planning and then realizing, well, 6 different Goyas are having an event on the same exact day.
Right.
How are we supposed to go to all of them?
Exactly. Exactly.
A master calendar, that sort of thing. That's probably the most practical benefit of it.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad that you see that, and it's unfortunate that we don't have it, but it's something that we can achieve.
Yeah.
What we do have, though, is a really great camp.
We do.
And it draws from people from all over New
Yep.
England. I just saw a picture. I don't know how many people are we talking. It
Oh, a
must
lot.
be like a couple hundred
Yeah.
or something.
I believe the staff applications close today, so get those in if you're
Gee,
planning on
yeah, get
being a
those
staff member,
in.
know someone who is.
It's amazing what goes on up there.
Yeah.
Very, very pleased. And I think, is Pano still
Yes.
running?
Yep.
Okay, that's good. And are you involved now? Or you?
I'm a staff member there in the summer. I wasn't able to go to this past winter camp because of the YAL conference in Chicago, but I go fall camp and summer camp and usually winter, but it's a great time.
That's so good. And how long do you go for usually?
Depends. Usually 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the summer, and then this summer it's going to be a little bit more difficult with prepping for law school and things, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah, gee, it's so great that you had. I wish that was around when I was a kid, but we had the Goya.
Yep.
And at the Goya, we lived. There was this thing about living your faith was one of the models that they used, and we were always together.
Yeah.
Which was nice. So, but I suppose now with social media, you keep in touch with everyone.
Of course, yeah, especially from camp and things like that.
Now, Lou, you mentioned some of the other things that happen in the metropolis of Boston, that we have this orthodoxy on tap.
Yep.
And that moves around. Is it the same? I wasn't clear. Were you doing something different in Providence?
So
or?
they have them through the metropolis of Boston that are organized in like the Boston area, and
Yeah.
then in Rhode Island, all the different Orthodox churches, not just the Greek Orthodox Church. We have a Orthodoxy on tap together
Oh,
in
no
Providence.
kidding.
So it's like
Really?
the Antiochian Church, the Ukrainian. So it's a good mix of people. So you get to meet people from different places and backgrounds. So
Right.
we have those in Providence every few months. It's not every month, but. And then I know in Webster, they have Orthodoxy on taps pretty often, once a month, I believe.
Right.
Great turnout. I've been to a few of those.
That's great. That's wonderful. And it's really sort of award-winning. So there's been a focus on youth in the metropolis,
Yes, for sure.
which is wonderful. So we asked you about the benefits of a national youth organization, and hopefully young people like yourself will take the reins
Yeah.
and make it happen, because there are a lot of benefits.
Yeah, like the OCF is definitely organized very well at a like national level. They have conferences and like the different real break things and different leadership opportunities. They have national Discord, which is like an online chat for all the members from every chapter around the country. So, and even Canada. So countries. So it's great.
Countries, right. It's amazing. Our guest this morning is Nicholas Lambros. He is a junior.
Yep.
Is that right?
A junior.
Yeah. At Providence College, and he is studying and majoring in political science, which is a great major, and with a minor in history. And we're here talking about his internship with Greek Cultural Resources, where he's looking at Greek American history, in particular the history of the Goya. And there were other things in that collection that you must be coming across.
There were
right? Yeah.
like things related to the AHAPA chapters in the Lowell area, like the Hellenic Cultural Center,
Yeah.
and then a lot of things. They were books like part of a display collection for the history of the Greeks of Lowell.
Oh, good, good,
Which was,
good.
That was very interesting. They had all like information with pictures, and
Yeah.
they were separated into different decades.
Yes.
So that was fascinating. I really enjoyed that one.
We were looking for that because
Yep.
those display boards are up and New Hampshire now.
Nice.
With me. So that's great. That's wonderful. And you'll be picking up some additional
Yep, some
material
more.
and continuing
Yep,
the
round two.
processing. And then another thing that you'll be taking on, which is real interesting, is the Greek publications.
Yep.
So we've lost. You knew about the Hellenic Chronicle
Yep.
project, right? And we've lost a lot of our newspapers and our journals. Just in general, and there's a great paper that published out of Chicago, the Greek Circle, that published for I think almost 10 years, and you'll be actually cataloging all of that and indexing, capturing the index and having a look and giving us your impressions. I think on all of that.
It's a little review of everything and try to explain it so understandable, I guess, in a concise form.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great. I think did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to add?
Nothing immediately, just a reminder of the Metropolis of Boston camp. Sign up before it closes.
Yeah, sign up before it closes.
It's going to go fast.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I want to thank you for coming in this morning. Our guest again was Nicholas Lambros, and he is studying, and I wish you all the success, and I hope you continue this work in the history field.
Definitely.
Great, thank you. You're listening to Grecian Echoes here at WNTN 1550 AM in Cambridge, Needham, and Boston. We're streaming at GrecianEchoes.com.